everyone, Steph Beckett here at InfoComm 2024, joined by Tim Albright of AV Nation. I'm with Rave Pubs, but also AV Buyers Club, which is our end-user facing publication. And Tim and I are doing something really cool at the show you might have heard about. Tim, what is that?
It is the top 10 of InfoComm 2024. Not necessarily one category, it is literally between the West Hall and the Central Hall, the top best things of the show this year.
Yeah. So we are looking for the top 10 best end-user products on the show floor. We're on the Central Hall floor already, so we thought we would take a look at a few of the products that have been nominated. We closed nominations Wednesday night. We had over 50, which is really great for our first year.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, this is our first year for doing it, so we appreciate all the nominations. And you and I spend a lot of time on the show floor. But the opportunity to say, hey, a spotlight on some of these that we may or may not have missed.
Exactly. So this is our first chance to actually walk the show floor. It's on Friday, by the way. I don't know about you.
Oh no, it's just the first time to walk the show floor. Yeah.
Yes. So I want to take a look at a few products that, were nominated and were said, hey, these are good for end users. So Tim and I are checking those out now. The first thing that we're checking out is actually right here and right here and right here, kind of. This is the Discerno. This is from Televic. So basically, this was put in as something that's really easy to integrate and easy to use for hybrid meetings in a small to medium room size.
Well, and here's the cool thing about this. So this is PoE, right? So you got 4 ports here. All of these ports feed and power each individual talking station.
And why is that important to an end user?
Well, first of all, you don't have to have 10, 20 power supplies and the wonderful wall warts that we all love. So that's number one. Number two, you can easily deploy this or maintain it with the PoE. So you've got one, according to Televic, you've got one port here and one line here. This will feed 25 different stations, and this one will feed 25 stations. I am not good at math, but that means 50
yes.
off of this box here. And it's honestly, it's good quality audio because from a physics standpoint, the microphone being closer to the speaker's mouth, that means that they're able to be heard better and more clearly.
Yes. And so when you're thinking about this, you're really able to make this scalable, which I think a lot of end users care about. If they ever want to make the room bigger, to bring in more ports, it's very easy to bring in the smallest number, maybe 5, 10, up to 50, using only one of these. So while this seems like something that only integrators care about, I think the scalability and maybe bringing in more speakers for a meeting or something that they ever need to change without changing the whole room is something important. But let's also focus on how this is actually very easy to use. If someone walks in and wants to start their meeting and they want to talk directly into this microphone, it's very easy. They have a talk button right here that they can use, and you can actually hear me coming out of the speaker right now. And then when I press that, I'm done talking. So very, very user friendly for those of us who are not in the AV industry and are maybe not as familiar with coming into a room and not understanding the technology. User friendliness is actually something really important if this is in a university standpoint or if this is just in a regular meeting. Sometimes we talk about things being CEO proof a lot of the time. Love our CEOs, they are great, but they are not always the best at technology. So this is one of those products that someone can just sit down and just simply use. And I think that is really, really the important thing to focus on in here.
Absolutely. And the other part about that is you mentioned the CEO. Because this is a conferencing system, this is a traditional meeting system, there is a chairman version of this, right? So what that means is you've got one of these stands here, one of these microphones that can take control of everybody else, right? They can say, you know what, I need to say something. I'm gonna mute everybody else, and I'm gonna push my button, and everybody gets to be quiet for a second. Yeah. So it is a traditional conferencing system, and then you can go back to using it. Everybody else gets to have a say. Yes.
Very, very, the settings within this are very, very personalized. So that's really cool. So I think next, Tim, if you want to, do you want to go check out Crestron? I'm interested to see the One Beyond system.
Yep, let's go.
All right, let's go. So Now Tim and I are here in the Crestron booth, still in the Central Hall, and another product that was submitted for our Top 10 Awards was what you're looking at behind us. This is the Crestron One Beyond. Tim, you got to sit in and have your own demo of this, so tell me a little bit about why this is cool.
So you've got two cameras that are tied together, feeding one conferencing system. One there, and then one there. And by default, the one pointing towards, let's say, the audience, right? That one is the one that is predominant. That's the one that is going to show most of the time. Until somebody walks into a predefined area, this time they're calling it the presenter area, and whether that is up at the podium or it's in front of the camera, it doesn't matter. This back one is going to switch to it. Here's the thing though, in a typical system like this, that would get triggered by audio, that would get triggered by an IR sensor or something like that. This is triggered by video. It is simply the cameras themselves sensing, oh hey, somebody, they're a person, not an object, right? Because it can be shooting just a blank podium, but someone has walked into the space, the predefined area. I know I need to switch to this now, right? And it's done automatically. The video that we did, we actually sent, me and the person, Sam Kennedy from Crestron, we were talking, we were chatting, and somebody without a microphone walked into the space, and within 3 seconds, it started tracking them.
So let's talk about why that is cool for maybe someone who is a university professor.
Yep.
They are not the most tech-savvy generation, you know, and that the AV manager who's there at that university probably is running low on time, doesn't have time to come in and set it for this professor every single time. So it is nice that they can simply turn on this camera and the professor can walk around the room, host their class, people can join and see from the Zoom, and it's going to follow that professor very easily, and hopefully I think you can just turn it on and it works, right?
It works, and that's the thing. So you've got professors at universities and colleges who, whether it's distance learning, it's hybrid learning, or they want to record their classroom for some sort of learning management system, they don't have the AV folks, the AV staff, the IT staff, they don't have enough people to go around and set up a two-camera system and have somebody physically with a switcher. Right, yes. So they can set this up in a classroom and just go. Yeah.
So yes, that's a very important point. Universities do not have a super hefty broadcast setup where they have a production assistant in the back switching the camera angle at every time. This is a classroom. So the fact that you can set this up and you get this type of camera shot just by setting this up and turning it on and it just working is actually going to be really great for universities, classrooms, bigger boardrooms where someone is presenting and the rest of the people are at the table. The opportunities are actually really endless. So we thought this was going to be really cool to show you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a good point there that they don't have broadcast setups for the entire classroom or for every conference room, right? So you can deploy these, and the support is minimal because again, you just kind of plug it in and it feeds into whatever again, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, whatever the far end is connected to. This thing just feeds into.
Yeah. Well, that was very cool. Glad we checked this out. What do you say we head over to SoundTube?
Good.
All right. As we're walking, let's talk about BAA compliance for a minute. So this is something that I just learned, and this is called the Buy American Act. People who are watching or listening might be familiar with the TAA compliance. What is that, Tim?
So TAA compliance means that the products and pieces and the technology, they're manufactured in countries that are friendly with the United States, right? So I'm going to just, a Chinese manufactured product is not TAA compliant. So these are things that the State Department and the United States government has said, these countries manufacture to our specifications, and we trust them from a security standpoint.
Right. So the BAA compliance means that it is made in America. So this is kind of just another tier. So this is going to be really important for government installations and places where, they're really, really looking for an American-made product. And as far as I know, these are the only speakers on the market that are BAA compliant of this type.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing about the BAA is you have government, but you also have colleges and universities and a lot of K-12 that they take money from the government through grants and other programs that BAA is going to be important for using those funds.
Right. So, they may get this grant money, but the grant money may have, some type of stipulation where, if you spend this on this, it has to be BAA or TAA compliant. So, while that may not initially seem like that is important to end users, it actually really is. If they're spending their hard-earned money, they want to know what products are available that they can spend that money on. So, the product we're kind of talking about, well, one, the passive version of this is actually BAA compliant, but that was actually not one of the ones submitted for the awards. We're looking back here at these ceiling integrated speakers. Excuse us, sorry. Don't want to interrupt their customer meetings, but these are ceiling install speakers, and these are brand new. They already have a version of this that is not BAA compliant, but this is basically the same thing, but completely manufactured in America. So I think it's about 20% more expensive than the regular version, but I think that's not the important thing to focus on here. This is going to be really compliant for those government-funded applications. So having something like this on the market, I think, is really important and good for us to note.
Well, and the other part is you've got colleges, universities, and corporations. A lot of their ESGs, environmental sustainability and governance programs will learn and lean into and say, okay, I want to buy so much that's American made. There's not, a plethora of technology that's made in America. So anything that's BAA compliant, this is made down in Jacksonville, Florida. Anything that's BAA certainly can fit into that ESG program.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to make one more stop for you guys. We are going to go over to the Leon Speakers booth, which is a big treat for me. That's one of my favorite booths every year. So let's head over that way now. Okay, I was not expecting Leon Speakers to, while they are very end user friendly because all of their products are incredibly beautiful, I was not super expecting them to submit. So I was very surprised and excited to see that they did.
And Leon Speakers is one of those companies that, Noel, the founder of Leon Speakers, very creative, right? Very creative. And their products are generally more works of art than they are technology, certainly technology focused. But again, they're also manufactured in the U.S., up in Michigan. And their factory, they're artisans, I would say. If you ever get a chance to check out their website, they have videos of their employees crafting these gorgeous pieces of enclosures.
Yes. So very big in the home, like residential space, because they make things that make your technology actually look beautiful. We're not the best. Well, we're getting better at technology being beautiful within AV. But the thing is, they hide all of the cords and the boxes and the bits and bobs that someone like me does not want to see, and they're bringing that into the conference room space. So let's see what this is. So this is called the Edge Connect. They have a few different versions of the Edge. So they have the one over here that is wall mounted, the one over to the left that is freestanding, but this one is made to go up against a wall. So what we learned is this is for places where maybe the building is a historic building. You can't touch that. There are many regulations. So this is for those installations where you can't really mess with the walls, like if it's glass. Let's just say it's a material you just really don't want to mount something on. This is for just putting it up against the wall, but doing that in a really beautiful way.
Well, it's also ADA compliant, Americans with Disabilities Act compliant. Huge thing for, again, corporations or higher education, where you've got to make sure that your devices, the technology, and the furniture meet those specifications. And so this is accessible to anybody, whether it's ADA or not.
Yes. And this table does not have to come with it. This is kind of for those hybrid applications where, so maybe you have a few people sitting here at the table, you're joining, you have this Logi camera here in the middle, and so you can check out your Zoom or Teams meeting by seeing everyone up on this screen. So this is actually really, really great for end users. And why is that?
Well, because this is customizable. I mean, it's one of the things is this is not a stock item. They custom make these. So you can take this speaker and camera setup and you can flip it to the top, right? You don't have to have the table. You can have it, you cannot have it. So once you're like, you know what, this is, I want one of these, It'll be about 2 months, about 8 weeks to get it, again, because they're going to custom make it up in Michigan. So you can really kind of work with your architect, work with your end users, the actual customers' end users, to decide exactly how you want the setup to be manufactured.
And I wanted to bring up that this is really great for users because this was born out of a need from a user. So we learned earlier that this was made from someone who worked in a bank said, hey, we need this product, but we can't mount it and we don't want it freestanding either. Yeah. What can you do? And they said, we can do this, and it was a big success. So now it is here at InfoComm and on the market. So we wanted to make sure that you guys got the chance to check it out.
And the other thing about here, underneath is a place to hide all the cables.
Yep.
Right, so you've got on this version, you have a cable cubby here, runs through the corridor, and then they're hidden, right? And you mentioned, making technology beautiful. The other part of that is hiding technology,
yes.
Right? Hiding the cables, hiding the devices that make all this work. And that is becoming more and more important in huddle spaces. You mentioned glass earlier. That's a glass conference rooms. You have to be able to hide those components that make the technology work.
Exactly. So I thought this was a really good note to end on. So thank you guys for checking out a few of our end user focused products here on this product tour. Tim, always a pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good week.
Yes. And we are announcing the top 10 winners next week. Is that right?
Next week, the end. So today's the 14th. So this is 21st.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we will be reviewing all of the people who, submitted those nominations. We're going to chat over them together. Both of our teams are going to come together and really, really, we're going to have some tough narrowing down to do. It's going to be actually a lot of work. Might have actually shot ourselves in the foot by saying that we were going to do this by next week, but we will make it happen.
We will make it happen.
So love this partnership with you, Tim. Looking forward to seeing what we can do.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to make some noise.
All right. So, by the way, avbuyers.club, if you want to go read our publication, where can they read yours?
Or avnation.tv.
All right. Well, we will see you next time, everybody. Happy InfoComm 2024.